Well, guys, we've been hearing how bad the winter weather is along the Upper East Coast, and we've got a special guest actually here joining us, someone who's lived through it herself.
That's right. We're, of course, talking about Good Morning America's very own Ginger Z, who joins us live from Holiday this morning.
Yes, that's our friend Ginger Z. Of course, we know you've had a lot of snow back home in New York. You know, I actually was watching GMA this the other morning, and she was out live in the snow giving us the latest on that weather. So I'm hoping she was able to bring some of that back with us, because we sure could use it out west.
Oh, Matt, Kaylee, Cedric, and Cedric, I know you've been all over this. I brought my coat that I wear in all of the snow so that I can potentially help change the pattern. It looks like we get maybe 2 weeks from now, the pattern starts to change here. But I know you all have been so desperate for snow, more than just about 2.5 inches and nearly 40 inches below average. And in the true seesaw of life, that's been it. You've been under this big ridge with the warmest winter on record for so many places from here south. But then we have had a cool one, not the coldest, but cool, but also very wet. You know, in New York City, for example, I've lived out of the city and in the suburbs for almost a decade now, and we have never needed to have a plow service. That's how minimal our snow has been for the last almost 10 years. But this year changed everything, and it looks like we're going to have to invest in a snowblower, because we are somewhere near 1.5 feet above average in New York City. Many places, even Cincinnati, we were just looking more than 10 inches above average. You had more snow in Raleigh, North Carolina this year than you all have had here in Salt Lake. So we are, hoping for a shift in that pattern for sure for you. And just so you know, I'm not just here to talk about how dry and warm it's been, but we also have a couple of stories that we're shooting. We've been really wanting to get out here. Very special stories I can't give you all the secrets to quite yet, but I love Salt Lake, and I love what you all have going on, so I can't wait to share that with the rest of America soon.
Yes, and Ginger, of course, we're so glad to have you here, and hopefully you get a chance to enjoy the area. But as you were mentioning there, we look forward to some of the great stories that you're going to be bringing here from the region. We appreciate the fact that she's focusing in on here in Utah and the Beehive State, so we are excited about that. And yes, as she was mentioning, hopefully we see a change in a couple of weeks.
All the good vibes from you. Thank you, Ginger.
Yes.
All right, speaking of...
I was looking at the very extended forecast, and it looks that way, so crossing fingers for you.
Okay.
Crossing all the fingers.
There we go.
Yes.
Ginger, thank you so much. We appreciate it. All right, Cedric, let's talk about here locally now. With that weather and maybe the possibility of seeing some change up in the forecast in a couple weeks. Right now, though, just rain.
Just rain right now, but we sure do need that change up. I want folks to really appreciate or not appreciate, whatever it may be, the snowfall numbers here in the valley, because this is kind of insane when you look at these numbers, folks. This is impressive. As Ginger was mentioning, there are only 2.5 inches in Salt Lake City this season. Now, we should typically have averaged so far up to this season over 40 inches. 42 inches is where our average should be in Salt Lake City. We are nowhere near that, and I don't necessarily think we're going to catch up to that, but hopefully we can add something. Now, what's interesting is one of the places that have seen some of the most snow so far this season, down in Iron County. Now, it's not a lot, but it is over 1 foot of snow there. They've had over 13 inches there in Cedar City, but their average about 35 inches. So again, you can see they're a little closer on the gap there, but still, it's pretty paltry everywhere else. Provo, only about 3.8 inches, still well below the average. And then notice Logan. Yeah, you should be getting closer to 50 inches by now, and only had about 9.6 inches. And here's the deal. Meteorological spring actually begins as we head into this weekend here. So by the time we go into March 1st, that's officially spring for us here in the meteorological world. March, April, and May, of course, the official start for the equinox there is going to be on March the 20th there. But still, you get the idea. It feels like we're kind of running out of time. But here's the weather pattern in the coming days. As we move into this weekend, this ridge of high pressure is going to keep us on the warmer side. Temperatures way above average, so don't expect much of a change when it comes to any cooler weather or wintry weather through this weekend. Now, as we head into the beginning of next week, here comes this area of low pressure. It'll bring us our next weather maker, but again, not a lot of cold air with this system as it comes in off of the west, so mainly just some rain showers in the valley and mountain snow showers. Now, as we get into the middle of the week, we're going to be watching another storm system. This one will drop in from the north. You know what that means? That typically brings in a little cooler air. So this one will be a little more cooler. Could have a situation where we see some rain on Wednesday, maybe even a few snowflakes in the valleys on Thursday. We'll see how that plays out, but what we're keeping a real close eye on is kind of what Ginger was mentioning. Farther out, as we look towards next weekend and beyond, A west coast trough could bring in colder and unsettled conditions here across the western half of the country, with the ridge and the warmer weather shifting to the east. We'll see how it plays out. It's still 7 to 10 days out, but of course, we'll keep you updated. All right, in the near term, we got the clouds in place, but those are clearing out. We still have this northwesterly flow, but drier air is working its way in. Here's our next storm system off the west coast, but this ridge of high pressure will block this storm from moving in at least over the next couple of days. But as we look at futurecasts, eventually it will make it here. So high pressure keeps us quiet as we go throughout today. A little more sunshine later today as opposed to this morning. And then notice as we get into your Friday, we've got more sunshine out there. So beautiful weather conditions expected here heading into the weekend. Now Saturday, futurecast tries to bring in some moisture. I think this is a little too soon. I think the air will still be fairly dry, but we will likely see a few more clouds showing up by Saturday afternoon. Now Sunday, as that storm system gets a little closer and moves inland, I do think a little better chance of scattered showers developing, particularly across north and central Utah. So if you've got your weekend plans that you're making, low to mid 60s for your Saturday with a mixture of sun and clouds. By the time we get towards your Sunday, we'll be talking about that chance of some scattered showers, especially in the afternoon hours. But look at that temperature along the Wasatch Front. Low 60s expected for your weekend, well above average. St. George, my goodness, could we have our first 80-degree temperature? It's a possibility on your Saturday. Otherwise, upper 70s going into your Sunday. Again, a real spring fever taste, at least for us, coming up this weekend. But that may change by next weekend. But that's still pretty far out there. 30s and 40s across the state right now, so it's a mild start despite that northwesterly flow. And as I mentioned, look at these temperatures going into the weekend, well above average here, even along the Wasatch Front. And then for St. George, my goodness, we're talking about way above average, closing in on 80 degrees as we move into the upcoming weekend. So quite the spring pattern developing for this weekend. St. George, mid-70s today, turn into the upper 70s, nearing 80 as we head into this weekend. And then notice as we get towards the beginning of next week, a mixture of sun and clouds with those highs in the mid-70s. All right, the Wasatch Front, we've got mid to upper 50s for your Thursday, low 60s Friday into Saturday. And then we'll be tracking that chance of showers developing Sunday into Monday, followed by another chance of showers as we get towards your Wednesday. Matt?